Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. My name is Joe and today I'm joined by Mark, aka the FPL General, to look ahead to Game Week 34. We look back on his 33 team and a hit that has more than paid off, plus he's a free hitting in Game Week 34. We look at his picks and see if they're the right ones by looking under the bonnet at the Fantasy Football Scout members area data. Welcome Mark, how are you?
I'm very well, Joe. Good to be back. Had a nice, relaxing Easter weekend, and yeah, very much looking forward to free hitting this week. It's always a fun week and never an easy week in terms
No.
of decisions. Loads of options, so looking forward to getting stuck into it.
Definitely. I remember last year's one, we all loaded up on Spurs assets taking on Fulham, and it was the Fulham assets that were pretty much the only ones that did all right. But it was a much smaller blank game week that we were free hitting in. It's just a few sides missing out this time round: Crystal Palace, Arsenal, City, and Aston Villa. So there's plenty of good picks to choose from. But I'm also free hitting. But we'll look at your free hit in a bit. And I don't know about you, but I found myself with 7.7 million in the bank, and
Yeah, it's
literally nowhere to spend it.
probably the first time in a long time where I haven't even activated yet because of the budget. I had a very quick look, looking at the draft I sent across for this video, and like that, 7, 8, 9 million in the bank. So busy weekend with the family,
Yeah.
so I didn't even bother activating it yet because yeah, it's not going to be an issue.
No. I did activate mine, but just because I just knew I was doing it, because I would have had to take. I think with a hit I could get 9 players, 8 players. So I'd have to take multiple hits to get 11, and they wouldn't even be the best ones. So yeah,
Yeah.
free hit for me. Okay, just before we move on, just a reminder, do press that like button, does help us out. Do remember to subscribe, keep up to date with all our latest videos and podcasts. So let's see how you got on so far, because we've still got a number of games left, or other players left to play. So yeah, I've got a picture of Brian Mbomo in. You brought him in. So you got 57 points, but -4, so 53, but it's a worthwhile hit, I would say. So do you want to just take us through your team and your decisions? Because I know you were, I was trying to tease you with Kevin De Bruyne, and it looks like you've gone that way.
Yeah, it worked. It worked in the end. So I can actually thank you for the Brian Mbeumo one because if I went Saka, I wouldn't have went Brian Mbeumo. So,
Okay.
but anyway, talk through the team. So it's so far so good because to me it was a survival game week with no chip in play and a -4 on top of that when a lot of other managers are, bench boosting, there's assistant managers in play. So I think I'm on a small green arrow with, quite a few players still to go, including captain. So a good game week on the cards. Double Arsenal clean sheet with Raya and Saliba. The Munoz and Gvardiol made it a clean sweep of clean sheets at the back, which was nice, especially after Munoz's disaster the previous game week. Brought in De Bruyne and Brian Mbeumo on Friday night. I took the risk on Friday night because I had zero point zero million in the bank, and
Okay.
if I waited until Saturday to see if Savinho was going to play, I wouldn't have been able to afford it. And I'm glad I did because if I waited, I would have kept Savinho and I would have went Saka, I think, over De Bruyne because I would have already had triple city. So it all worked out quite nicely.
Yeah.
Brandon Mbeumo, absolute hero. And the thought process behind it was either, go for a Villa double game week midfielder or a longer term pick for the rest of the season. And I just weighed everything up. And the fact that I don't need Brendan Boom will give me 34 because of the free hit when he's got a difficult fixture against Forest. But I really like the rest of the fixtures for the rest of the season, and we know how good he's been this season. He's fantasy gold, and it just felt right. I didn't really want to sell him on the game week 30 wild card, but it was a fixtures play. I think he had Arsenal and Chelsea coming up, and Newcastle as well, maybe. But it just felt good. It felt right just to get him back. The fact that there was zero point 0.0 in the bank, and it was all about Kevin De Bruyne. I couldn't resist one more owning him for one more time. Hasn't worked out yet, but thankfully I was behind the couch for the Saka Arsenal game yesterday, and I probably will be again midweek if he's fit and available. But overall, yeah, one of probably my favorite ever transfer in FPL.
Yeah.
Getting him Brandon Boomo this week. So the rest of the team then Salah blanked, which was a good thing really, as did Isak, Sarr as usual, Mateta again, and nothing from Captain Marmoush, but none of the captains did anything. So another game to go.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the the highlights of the Man City game, but listened to it, and it was really Tarkovsky going off was the catalyst for, and there was a bit of a change as well with the City lineup. And Marmoush looked pretty good actually in that last sort of 20 minutes or so. I think he assisted the assister of the second goal. I thought he'd actually got that assist there. And I thought he had a couple of really good chances. There was one really good save that was made. I thought he looked pretty good. I switched to Marmoush because I was worried about Saka's minutes. And then when I saw Saka starting against Ipswich, I was like, oh my God, I have made the wrong mistake. But as it's turned out, Saka somehow managed to dodge points. And he got, won the penalty. Well, not penalty, won the red card, if that's a way to describe it. But, with a possible Achilles problem. So he may be indeed rested for the next one. I don't know.
I feel extremely fortunate
Yeah.
to avoid Saka 15-pointer because, it could have been easily.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm okay with him in my side, but I'm slightly glad I'm going into a captaincy game with Marmoush rather than Saka at the moment, as it stands. But what my moves just I got Asensio out for Rodgers. I just looked at that and I just thought, because I actually was thinking about Brian Mbomo, not for this week. I'm not going to claim I was thinking him for this week. I'm thinking about him for Gameweek 35. And I looked at the money and I had nothing in the bank if my plan move was to do Gordon. I've got still Gordon to Mbomo, but I would have had no leeway and I probably wouldn't have afforded it by the time Gameweek 35 came. Definitely won't now, now that he scored 18 points. So I just saved a bit more money, gave myself a bit of leeway, and as it turns out, I'm 4 points up on the deal, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's funny. It's all worked out for me with the transfers, but as soon as I seen the Manchester City team sheet and Savinho was starting, I was very scared because, like I said, I could have just kept them and avoided the -4, but thankfully it's played out in my favour.
Definitely, I actually thought that Everton game might be their hardest to score. And as it, until Tarkowski went out, I think it was. But that does present Everton as now possibly a slightly easier fixture, which could be important for our free hit. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to, not going to mess around. We're just going to put the free hit team up. And then we're going to look under the bonnet of it and have a look at some of the stats and see if they're the right ones. Because a lot of the free hit teams I've seen at the moment are very similar, but they are different players. They're similar in terms of the teams that we're targeting. So I'll put your free hits draft as it is at the moment up. And do you want to just go through that and then we'll sort of look in detail in a bit?
Yeah, sure. So this, like I said, very much a first attempt. Basically, just looked at the fixtures, targeted, triple Wolves, triple Fulham, triple Newcastle, and triple Liverpool, and then just kind of filled in the gap. So if you're looking at this on the screen, I'll say who the bench players would be first because that makes it easier to kind of explain. So the bench here would be Sells and Nico Williams because I've currently got Brennan Bumo in the starting 11. On the bench as well, I think would probably be Iwobi against Southampton. So then in terms of the starting 11, the triple Newcastle would be Nick Pope in goal with Jacob Murphy and Isak in attack. Triple Liverpool, Salah Diaz in midfield with Van Dijk at the back, but that could be Trent, depending on what we think about his prospects of starting. Triple Wolves, 8 Nuri, I think is a no-brainer and will probably be in every free hit team. Cunha's up front. It could be Strand Larson. I think that's not a straightforward decision. It could even be both. And I think, put Agbadu in here as well, maybe just as another bench pick in this one as well. And then who else is left? Brennan Bumo, because he's just scored 18 points. It's going to be, I think it would be, I don't know what the word is, but I don't know if I can bring myself to not keep him now, given what he's just done for me. And even though it's a tricky fixture, I think I might just hold on to him. And then making up the front line is Raul Jimenez, who again is a no-brainer now if Muniz is injured and obviously has a very good fixture. So I presume most people will have a lot of these picks.
Okay. So this is broadly similar to my one. Obviously targeting the same teams, very similar teams. So I've got so we're looking at targeting those promoted sides. We've got Wolves against Leicester, Fulham against Southampton, Newcastle against Ipswich. That Liverpool-Tottenham game, because Liverpool could win the league then, I believe. But also it's Tottenham, and it's at home. And that Brentford and Nottingham Forest game is intriguing because Nottingham Forest have been conceding lately. And as you said, Brian Mbomo has just come off 18 points. So that's going to be hard to resist as well. There are some other players, teams in the mix as well. We'll look at those in a sec. Possibly Chelsea, but not Parma, because that game against Everton without Tarkowski could be good for their attackers. The Brighton West Ham game I'm interested in as well. I think West Ham will score against Brighton, and I think Bowen is the usual guy to do that. But I also think that Brighton could easily score in that one, especially against Potter. João Pedro's out. Welbeck, he'll be on penalties, you would assume, but he'd certainly be starting. There's no competition for him. So Welbeck could be a very good differential in this game as well. So there are options there. And yeah, you mentioned Strand Larsen. My attack at the moment is Cunha, Isak, and Strand Larsen, and I'm very tempted to captain Cunha for this one. He came out with maximum bonus again because he started. So I'm pretty up for them. So yeah, they're very similar. So before we look at some of the tables and things, what are you? I mean, you mentioned there about Alexander Arnold and Van Dijk. What other sort of changes do you think will you make? I mean, I would imagine the teams would stay the same, but what other sort of player changes do you think you might make?
Yeah, you were just talking about a few strikers there as well, and you can even throw in, Chris Woods in the mix this week and Wissa in the same fixture. Two strikers are having fantastic seasons, so I think we're spoiled for choice for cheap forwards in this game week, and that's probably the best position to be different if you want to be different in this one. I think Isak will be in every team. Cunha will be very popular,
Yeah,
and then maybe the third spot is up for grabs. Elsewhere, I'm not definitely going to go double Liverpool midfield with Diaz, Salah. Could maybe look at some of the other Liverpool assets. Trent's the player you want, but when you're on a free hit, you need to be pretty sure he's going to start,
yeah,
and he is just coming off this injury. So Van Dijk just feels a little bit safer at the moment. Robinson as well is in there. Had a very good first half of the season, but we've now got Sessegnon playing out of position. So again, I think Sessegnon, Ait Nouri,
yeah.
they're probably going to be in most free hit teams, and maybe I will switch Robinson to Sessegnon for the
Yeah.
out of position prospects, and it's probably the Newcastle triple up as well. There's a lot of variations. Gordon could come into it, Livramento instead of Pope, for example. But again, like you say, the fixtures probably aren't going to change too much that I'm targeting.
Okay. Yeah, just a word of note about Sessegnon. I think it was the BBC's coverage of him when he came off. It said that he was substituted because of an injury. But I've heard nothing else about that. So that's a real press conference thing to look at there. I do the team news every week with Neil, and Fulham's usually just one we sketch over because most people are fit. There's 2 or 3 long term, and that's it. So I'm not aware of how forthcoming he is with injury news, but it is possible there is an injury to Sessegnon. So that's something to watch out for. But yeah, I currently got a Sessegnon on my free hit side, and I will happily switch to Robinson if he's going into that as a doubt. But as I said, it's just the BBC. I've seen that. It's not to say that it was an actual injury or looked like an injury. So we don't know at this stage.
Yeah, I mean he hasn't played a huge amount in the season, so it could just be a bit of fatigue possibly.
Yeah,
So
could be.
hopefully he's okay because I think he's a player we'd all like to own for this one.
Okay, so let's have the first table we'll look at is tack. So I've done this last 4 matches. Obviously excluded the teams that aren't playing, or tried to rather. I think I have. So these are the best attacks in the last 4 matches, sorted by minutes per expected goal involvement. So Newcastle are top here with 13 goals as well in their last 4 matches they played. Because obviously we've got double game weeks, single game weeks, blank game weeks, that type of thing at the moment. So the best way is 4 matches. No point looking at the last 4 game weeks because some teams have played more than others. So yeah, Newcastle are absolutely top, and they face Ipswich. So that makes me think you're definitely right to have Isak in there. Murphy's one I'm looking at bringing in as well. Trippier as well. Livramento. But yeah, one of those. I think it'll be those 3. I say 3, but Trippier v Livramento rather. I don't see the need to mess around with Pope, I think. But yeah, 13 goals is pretty impressive actually. They're by far and away the best attack, but then they just got hammered, so it's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean, take that one result away, they've been absolutely flying. It's especially in the attacking third. So Isak, easy pick as he usually is. Murphy, I've had for quite a while now, and absolutely no reason
Yeah.
to lose him on a free hit. So those two will be locked in for me. Then the question is, is there a case for triple attack? There possibly is against Ipswich. But I do like adding a defensive pick, and I think I have Nick Pope in that first draft that I sent you, but I think that might end up changing to Livramento. I
Yeah.
think I like most.
Yeah.
Trippier's tempting, but his fitness always scares me. But yeah, Livramento just maybe higher ceiling than Nick Pope. If
Yeah.
Nick Pope has a high ceiling when he's facing Eze penalties, but he won't be facing one of those this week. So yeah, I think Livramento, Murphy, Isak is probably what I'll end up on with Newcastle.
Now, Liverpool next, they've only got 6 goals. That's half of what Newcastle have got in their last 4 matches. But their minutes per expected goal involvement, expected goals rather, is every 53 minutes. So it's just behind Newcastle. And they face Tottenham, who we know can concede. I just feel that some kind of good display from Liverpool's coming. I think I'm right in saying that this could be the game where they actually win the league, and it's at home. This could be. Therefore, I would imagine they would go for it.
Yeah, I think you're right because I think the most recent weekend they had a chance of winning the league with certain results. So this must be the one where they can actually do it. So yeah, triple Liverpool. When the title is possibly about to be sealed, makes so much sense. It's just not super easy to lock in which three those are. Salah's obvious. I do really like Luis Diaz. I never really own him in FPL. There's always reasons or other assets that I go for instead. But if he's going to start this one, which he probably will, he could do a lot of damage against Tottenham. And then it probably just comes down to the defensive asset. And if there's not a huge amount of information before the deadline, I'll probably just keep it safe with Van Dijk.
Yeah, I think with Diaz, you would imagine he would start this. It would be Diaz, Salah first choice, and then Gakpo. Jota could come in for Gakpo, but you would imagine it would be Diaz there. But he does come off around the sort of 70th minute mark. So that's something to be aware of, which puts me off the captaincy. But Diaz would certainly be amongst my picks. Next team is Brighton, surprisingly, on a terrible run of form at the moment. They've 57, but minutes per expected goals every 57 minutes, just behind Liverpool. Better than Wolves and Bournemouth, who are next up. So I think a Welbeck against West Ham could be a good differential. I don't know whether I will go there because there's so much choice up top.
Yeah, I really like Welbeck. He's had he's had a really good season. Stop start a little bit with injuries, but when he's been on the pitch, he's been good. That header at the weekend was so impressive. Up against a couple of defenders, just really, really good. But again, when we've just talked about a lot of forwards. I mentioned Wood and Wissa as well. I think I probably prefer those two over Welbeck. But certainly a very good differential, I think, for this game week, whether you're on free hit or not. And like you say, probably on penalties now with Joe Pedro, with another suspension.
So I'm not going to mention every single team on this list, really, just the top ones, really. But Wolves are next, so that proves, and they're against Leicester. So Newcastle against Ipswich, Wolves against Leicester, another a team that is about to be relegated, you would assume. So yeah, Wolves. Yeah, I've gone for Cunha and Strand Larsen at the moment. I really like that attack there. And Strand Larsen and Cunha on form.
Yeah, I really like both players. And I think with those two forwards, they're probably quite unique in that there's not too many teams in the league where if a Strand Larsen scores, there's a very good chance it's a Cunha assist because he is very creative. He takes corners as well. I think it was one occasion at the weekend where he took a corner and Strand Larsen came close to scoring from it. So yeah, Cunha's so good on bonus, because he is creative. So he is my number one choice from Wolves. He should start. They were performing well while he was out, but I think he will start this one. And then it's a case of do you add Strand Larsen as well because they don't really have any attractive midfielders. I know Sarabia scored a free kick at the weekend, but his minutes are never super secure either. So yeah, I think Cunha 8 Nuri is the starting point, and then it's a question of does Strand Larsen push one of the other forwards out?
Yeah, and there's the next sort of batch of teams. The attacking, but not as attacking. Bournemouth, every minutes per XG every 63 minutes. Tottenham every 66 minutes. Chelsea every 71 minutes. Brentford with your man and Bomo every 77 minutes there. So they're the sort of next ones I would be looking at. there. And then looking at the fixtures they're playing, so Bournemouth against Manchester United. Manchester United could be distracted. They could be rotated again. We're looking at Chelsea. They play Everton, but that I wouldn't ordinarily have said that was a good one, but without Tarkowski, that could be a very good fixture for them. Tottenham attack is quite good. That means they could score, which slightly puts me off a Liverpool defender there. And the only other sort of attack I would be looking at personally would be West Ham. I know, and it would be quite limited, and it would be Bowen. I feel Bowen will score in this one. So I think he quite good, but I don't know if he'll get a sort of a mega haul. Could do.
Yeah, when I purchased Brian Mbeumo, it was a toss up between him and Jared Bowen, and it just came down to Brian Mbeumo has more routes to points with more set pieces and stuff like that, and feels a little bit more explosive than Jared Bowen. But free hit week, Bowen is always an option. Some of the other teams you mentioned there, I like the Bournemouth fixture at home to Manchester United. Like you say, European distractions. We've seen them lose 1-0 at home to Wolves. So someone like a Clivert who's back in the mix now.
Yeah.
Semenyo's always, trigger happy, and one of those could end up in the back of the net against United. Tottenham don't really have much interest there because, again, prioritising Europe. Chelsea, Cole Palmer, I'm not going to say definitely no because there's money available. It's a home fixture, but I think it was Andy that tweeted, is it 96 days since he scored in the Premier League? Absolutely crazy. I think it's game week 21.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I mean, it's when there's money available, and he's got a home fixture against Everton without Tarkowski, I might end up there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Neto, Jackson, they could be quite good differentials as well. It's just Palmer's form puts me off. It's just sort of the cost as well. I mean, yeah, I can easily get him in because you've got lots of money. But if you go without him, you can do whatever you want, really. But with Palmer, it could be a little bit restrictive there. Let's have a look at the best and indeed the worst defences as well. So once again, I've got the fixtures sorted by difficulty on the screen here, and this shows obviously promoted side. Those against promoted sides are the best attacks to go for. But the best defences, Liverpool. So this proves that they could be quite good there. They've got 2 clean sheets in the last 4, and they've only conceded 4 goals. Minutes per expected goals conceded every 123 minutes. They're not even conceding an XG every game at the moment. So yeah, that puts me back onto Van Dijk. Probably would be, I would agree with you, the safest one, because I couldn't say whether Bradley will start and Alexander will come on again. I could not say at this stage.
It's got a 59th minute substitution written all over it, that one.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, if Alexander starts, maybe Bradley will come on. But yeah, that one, I don't know. Yeah, that's your 59-minute club, definitely there. Next one, next best defence is actually Bournemouth, which makes Kirkes perhaps an intriguing option because he's got attacking threat as well. I know Howson, who I was in my team for a long time this season, hoovering up the bonus once again. Chelsea, Cucurella, I'm not sure. I've got a feeling Cucurella's in. No, he was. I did have Cucurella at some point. This is one I always tempt you with, and you never go for, and I never go for
scoring
either.
Goals.
But he's against an Everton side that aren't very attacking, and he keeps scoring goals against a side without Tarkowski to protect them. So that makes me think that Cucurella could be quite a good asset there. Manchester United also high up there. Brentford as well, which says Flecken could be perhaps a bench goalkeeper there. Brighton somehow in the top half of the best defences for playing. Don't believe that. And obviously the worst one, Southampton, Ipswich, Leicester, but we know about that. But Nottingham Forest down there. And I think this is the headline thing, because this, if I'm thinking, basically I'm not going to have Mbomo and Bowen, but I'd probably maybe have Mbomo because of the form, but also the fixture. Their minutes per expected goal conceded every 60 minutes, which puts them just below Southampton. There, and also they've conceded 5 goals and just 1 clean sheet. So that says to me the Nottingham Forest, and it's the remaining game. It's the last game. So yeah, I think you could be right with Brian Mbomo, and it does put me off a Nottingham Forest defender.
Yeah, Forest numbers have dropped off. There's no doubt about that. And I think any defensive asset playing against a Brentford team doesn't fill you with confidence, because Mbumo and Wissa have been so good. You know, another 4 goals scored by them at the weekend. They're just a fun team that just play kind of with freedom and tend to score goals. And I don't expect a Forest clean sheet. I think I had Sales and Williams in my draft there, but they're definitely bench picks for that. So yeah, again, looking at this, that gives me another reason to stick with Mbumo after what he's just done for me, and hopefully can capitalize on a little bit of a drop off in form from Forest.
Definitely there. So yeah, some very I think so. The teams that you're targeting, the attacks, the defenses, I think are spot on there. Let's have a look at the players though. See if you've got the right players. So what I've done here is last 4 matches, best attackers, turn minutes per expected goal involvement. Obviously, I've removed any players that aren't playing this game week. And so we'll go down the list here. Top is Stan Larson for Wolves. Only 5.4. Minutes per expected goal involvement, non-penalty every 105 minutes. He's got 3 goals in his last 4 matches. And his baseline bonus is awful because Cunha's getting all of that. But he's had 9 shots inside the box, only created 3 chances, 5 shots on target. Ordinarily, I might not go for him, but he's against Leicester, and Leicester are awful. So yeah, I mean, could you do a Cunha Strand Larson double up?
Yeah, I'm definitely not against it. I think both are fantastic picks in their own right this week. And the way I try to look at it is, if Cunha's definitely going to be in, I want to try and forget about him then. And then when I'm picking the third spot, it's a straight shootout between Strand Larson, with Wood, the other guys, Raul Jimenez, and don't let the Cunha factor influence my Strand Larson decision. Because if I think Strand Larson is better than all of those, then he should be in alongside Cunha.
Yeah, definitely. I think he is. Leicester, by the way, to the table I've just put up with the best and worst defences. Leicester are the worst defence. They're conceding an expected goal every 32 minutes. That's at least 3 a match. And if Strand Larsen's their best goal threat, then for me, he's not total lock. He's 99% lock at the moment in my team. Next up is Murphy. He's only 5.2, so you can afford to have all of these players. Minutes per expected goal involvement every 108 minutes. His ownership's pretty high, actually, so he'll be one of the most high-owned players here. I think around my rank, he's something about 50% owned. A couple assists, 3 goals, 5 attacking returns. His baseline bonus is strong. Only 3 shots inside the box, though, but he has created 6 chances. I think it's more just about the minutes, really. He keeps coming off around the 70th minute. Gordon's still there, not starting. And he probably can't while Murphy and Barnes are in form. But Gordon's just there, ready to replace one of them at any moment.
Yeah, but again, I don't think that should put you off Murphy. He's for one of the first team names on the team sheet at the moment, and just having such a good season. We're riding the Murphy wave, which we probably never will ride again. So if you've had him for a few weeks and you're on free hit this week, just keep him. If you haven't had him and he's been annoying you, just get him and join us for 1 week. Just a no-brainer pick, especially at that price.
Yeah, definitely. I'll be joining it. I haven't been riding the Murphy train, but I'm ready to aboard. Avenilson is next against Manchester United. Could be distracted. Minutes per expected goal involvement, non-penalty every 111 minutes. Had 3 goals in his last 4 matches that he's played. 12 shots inside the box and 4 on target. Yeah, he's another strong asset. But once again, we've been through all of these strikers. I just think there's no room for him.
Nah, there's about 9 or 10 really good strikers this week, and Even Nielsen is another one. I like the fixture against United. I really like what I've seen of Even Nielsen last 4, 5, 6 game weeks. I just think he's a top striker. And in any game week, if you have him, you can be confident of at least 1 return. So, yeah, if you're on him, you might want to keep a hold of him, and he's certainly a free hit option as well.
And Barnes as well for Newcastle, very tempting. But once again, Gordon is there, ready to replace either Barnes or Murphy. He's got 2 assists, 4 goals, so 6 attacking returns. Ownership's still quite low, but minutes per expected goal involvement just behind Ivan Nilsson, and actually better than Diaz, who's next on the list, every 116 minutes. 8 shots inside the box, 4 on target. Over the last 4 matches, pretty strong. I probably won't go there, and I'll regret that.
Yeah, I think this is one for the Mavericks. You go Murphy, Isak, and Barnes, and really try to capitalize and probably hope Newcastle concede as well if you don't have any defensive
Yeah.
assets. But yeah, it's Barnes has been so good recently, and I mean maybe we should be going there over Murphy, but I find it quite hard to do so.
Yeah, definitely. And next name Diaz as well. This proves why he's a good pick. I think he would definitely be on my side. Minutes per expected goal involvement, non-penalty every 118 minutes. It's getting on for a goal involvement game. 14 chances he's created, 9 shots inside the box. And as we've seen in terms of the attack, whilst Liverpool have not been scoring lots, their XG indicates they could have. And so I think Diaz and Salah would benefit from that. Diaz, a good pick.
Yeah, good pick, and I think like you, pretty sure he'll end up in my team this week. Great fixture, going for the title. Great player that I very rarely own, so it's quite nice to have him for a week, especially with that home fixture. So yeah, pretty sure Salah Diaz combo will be in my team and probably many others as well.
Yeah. Okay. Cunha is next. Minutes per expected goal involvement every 131 minutes in the last 4 matches he has played. He's only had 3 starts there, but he did start the weekend. 5 shots inside the box. His baseline bonus is strong. All he has to do is just look at a ball and he gets a bonus. 8 chances created. He's a really strong asset. Because of those routes to points, assists, goals, and bonus, and because the fixture is a strong one again against the worst defence at the moment, Cunha would probably be my captain, I think. Now, in terms of captaincy, Brian Mbomo could be strong, just come off 18 points. He's next in the list with minutes per expected goal involvement, non-penalty of 148 minutes. Salah every 158 minutes, but he has had 10 shots and created 7 chances. Now, Salah will probably be the most popular. Isak will be popular as well. He didn't make this list though. His minutes per expected goal involvement non-penalty is every 169 minutes. So he fell quite short of this. So it makes me Cunha and Salah. It's between those two for me. But what about you? Who's the armband on? And where could it go?
Yeah, that's the beauty of the free hit. It could go absolutely anywhere. Salah, my first instinct is Salah home to Tottenham, and that's probably what it will
Yeah.
end up on. I do like you. I like your Cunha shout. I think that's a great captaincy pick this week. Any team against Leicester, with a player with Cunha with so many routes to points is really good. Isak definitely in the mix for me as well. Yeah, last 4 game weeks, maybe his numbers are not as good here as some of the others, but season statistics are really good, and the fixture is absolutely fantastic as well. So Isak will be in the running, but probably just keep it simple and go for Salah
Okay.
against Tottenham.
Okay, right, yeah. I mean, I think, Salah v Cunha. Cunha's the, shall I take a risk move? It's Salah. They could win the league. He's got great underlying stats. He's against Tottenham. And I keep thinking about that game, that Tottenham Liverpool game. Do you remember where VAR intervened and Diaz could have got a hatful? I think Salah could have got a bit more in that game. And I just feel this could be a lot of goals in this game.
Don't try and kid yourself on Monday, Joe, that you're going to captain Cunha. You're going to be on Salah.
I know I will be. I will be. That's what I mean. It's like the maverick in me, which is the small part of me, goes for Cunha, and the real me would go for Salah. So yeah,
The
yeah,
Monday captains are always fun to play around with,
yeah,
but the Saturday captain will be different.
yeah. The Saturday captain will be Salah. let's not kid ourselves. Before we go, I just wanted to quickly look at the fixtures going on. So we've had a look at your free hit team. I hope it's been of use to people that are free hitting. Also not as well. Well, I did get a couple of responses from people when I said I was doing this video. What about us wildcarders? So there's some people who aren't free hitting Gameweek 34. They're actually quite well set up. There are also those that are considering wildcarding, so they need to be looking at future fixtures. And we've got a potential double game weeks around the 36, 37 mark as well for those teams involved in the FA Cups. That could be City, could be Forest, could be Villa, for example. So we're looking at, so you've got a sort of plan for that, but you don't know who's going to be in it. So you just got to sort of look ahead, really, about what you do know. And this says that Nottingham Forest have actually got the easiest run. They've got Brentford up next at home, Crystal Palace. Then they've got Leicester at home, West Ham away, and Chelsea. They finished the season with Chelsea at home. It's quite a strong run of fixtures. So that says Nottingham Forest could be good. I've got one of their defenders. I think that's as far as I'm going to go there. Ipswich as well got good fixtures. So have Leicester, but they're down and out, you would imagine. And then Brentford, the next sort of realistic team we'd be looking at. And that's why you got Brian Bomo in. The 18 points is just a bonus, really, this week. Got Nottingham Forest next. Could be good fixture. Then he's got brilliant, probably the best run. When I sort by difficulty 35 to 38, I've got a feeling Brentford will be top with Manchester United, Ipswich, Fulham and Wolves.
Surely first or second, yeah.
Yeah. Wolves themselves, I think, are strong. I'd be looking to get Cunha in, actually, towards the end of the season. Perhaps not in Game Week 35. They play Man City, but then they got that Brighton at home, Crystal Palace away, Brentford at home. They finish the season with. I think Cunha could be quite strong for the run in.
I think they're on. Are Wolves on 5 wins in a row for the first
Yeah,
time in the Premier League?
they are
So,
indeed, yeah.
good time to go there.
So if you're wildcarding now, I would definitely be looking at Mbomo, Cunha, because they're good for Game Week 34 as well, if you're using that in a wild card. West Ham are still strong. Bowen's still a very good asset there. Got that Brighton game, Tottenham, Manchester United, Nottingham Forest, Ipswich next. Everton, I'm sort of sketch over. They do have Ipswich and Southampton at home, though, which is quite good. So that's worth noting. But further down, teams to avoid. Crystal Palace, we're all stocked up on them. So it's time to move those on. Arsenal, we're all stocked up on them. And even with the good games, I don't know about rotation. Saka's on my possible removal list at the moment at some point. Aston Villa, fixtures are a bit mixed, but they could have a double. Chelsea, the fixtures are just pretty awful, really. They do have the Everton game, but the rest are awful. And Man City, the fixtures do turn a bit mixed. Wolves, Southampton, Bournemouth and Fulham. So actually the fixtures are all right for Man City. It's just they've got that blank in there. So that's why they're quite low down. So I think they will shoot up the table there. But yeah, I mean, what does this sort of say about your team? You've already got Brian and Bomo in, but who else are you targeting? For we've only got a few transfers left.
Yeah, Nottingham Forest are at the top there, but I don't feel myself in a mad rush to go back to the likes of Chris Wood. I mean, I might do. I think he was playing his old team Leicester at home in 36. I still like. It's always good to have a cheap defender or the Forest goalkeeper. And just like I actually do have Nico Williams on my bench, so I'm already there. Alanga, I really like. He's been having a really good season, so that's maybe a little differential towards the end of the season once he gets fully fit again. Ipswich, Leicester, no thank you. Brentford, I've got Mbumo, so I'm definitely open to adding Wissa as well. I just think they're a team. We talk about teams on the beach, and I like Brentford as a team on the beach because they just feel like they'll just go out and play and score goals. And I think the fixtures are set up nicely for that. Wolves definitely, Cunha, Strand Larson, we spoke about, maybe even Ait Nouri for the rest of the season. And further down the list, I've only got 2 Arsenal because I swerved sack. I've got Raya Saliba. So that feels okay looking at the fixtures that I'm not tripled up there. Don't have any Villa. Probably not going to go there. Crystal Palace, I'll start offloading game week 35 onwards. And Man City, I do like the fixtures when you take away 34. So I might look to... Well, I've got triple already. So I've got De Bruyne, Marmoush, Gvardiol. So that feels good. One of the reasons I went for De Bruyne as well was if you take away game week 34, which doesn't matter if you're on free hits, Man City, I think, play the first fixture every game week apart from one. So there's, if there's ever early team news, we might find out that De Bruyne is not starting, and then that's probably the window to jump off again. So that was another reason why I went there. But hopefully De Bruyne can stay for the rest of the season and can be the 10-year-old 10 years ago version of De Bruyne and get a lot of points.
Speaking of Man City, the only issue I was thinking is, what if Haaland comes back? With these fixtures towards the end, I mean, that, for example, if he comes back in time for that 36 game against Southampton, perhaps they have a double. They've got Bournemouth at home and they finish with Fulham away. So that could be a lot of goals there. Yeah, I mean, for me, I could go for Haaland if Saka goes and there's another one. I mean, I probably won't. It's still too much money, I think, for what he offers. But yeah, would you get Haaland in?
Probably not, because it would be too much surgery, I would imagine. Only one free transfer at the moment. Probably only going to be one free transfer most weeks for the rest of the season. And I think the latest I've seen was there's maybe a setback anyway. So there's chances are he might not be back at all. So, but yeah, one to monitor, of course. But even if let's say if he did come back 37 and 38, it's 2 game weeks, you can probably just survive
Yeah.
Probably not going to do too much damage ownership wise and stuff. So don't expect to own the Norwegian until next season.
Yeah, no, we both, I think we both removed him in Game Week 10, and I certainly haven't missed him. I'd seen any
Never
of
looked
those
back.
Game Weeks, even when he was playing. Didn't bother. Excellent. Well, thanks so much for that. There's plenty more content coming up at Fantasy Football Scout on video and podcast during the week. I'll be back this week with my free hit picks as well, which will be we'll look at the data. We'll look at some different data. I'll look much more about sort of the best ones from each team, really, there. So some of the sort of nuts and bolts there. But I'll refer back to this one as well with some of the best attacks, best defences. Also looking at that sort of sprinkling of best XGI players at the moment as well. And there's lots of more Scoutcast, burning questions, all those kind of things, team news as well, goals imminent podcast as well. Thanks so much for your time. Take care. Good luck with the game week.
Cheers all.